Hi there. This week is just me. Thank you so much for listening and practicing along with Leaders Devoted to Rest. This podcast was born out of the sacred work I do via Devoted to Rest, which is a rest focused mastermind for leaders who are making an impact and also know that part of their access to dreaming, envisioning, and expanding their impact in their most sacred work is born from rest. So, thank you for being here. I hope the conversations and the practices have served you well. I'm also curious about what listening in here has awakened in you, maybe even agitated within you, and hopefully restored or settled within you. So, the episode this week is a little bit different. And I want to just start by saying, I see you. I see you steadying your feet on quivering ground. I see you perhaps oscillating between courage and fear, rage and numbing out, panic and peace. Here's what I know. You can't outscroll overwhelm and chaos. You can't outwork discrimination. You can't outwork a raging machine. You can't outpace cycles rooted in oppression. You can't convince someone of the truth when they've brokered their belonging and founded their identity based on a lie. But what can you do? You can be very intentional about what media you consume and what you listen to. You can protect your rest and your senses. The goal is to keep you overwhelmed, exhausted, to distract and destroy, to take control of your imagination. Protect your senses, rest. And I also understand that if you are feeling very alert and alarmed right now, rest might not come easy. What else can you do? You can get very clear on what is yours to do. There is something that is distinctly yours to do. When I say rest, it isn't an invitation to give up, to accept defeat, to be done. It is an invitation to wake up your deepest power, your creativity, your wisdom. So get clear on what is yours to do. And part of getting clear on what is yours to do requires that you also get clear on what is not yours to do. Okay? What else can you do? You can save your energy. You can unplug. You can log off. You can have real and slow conversations with the people who help you stay grounded and anchored, who remind you of who you are and whose you are, who hold you, who love you. Okay. Stay focused on your most sacred work. And that most sacred work has to include rest. And just so we're clear, here's what I mean when I say rest. I'm defining rest as limiting sensory input in a way that allows your parasympathetic nervous system, which is responsible for resting, digesting, processing all this stuff. So, limiting sensory input that allows your parasympathetic nervous system to come online and work for you. Okay? This is how I'm defining rest. So, I see you. I feel you. I feel you oscillating between courage and fear, rage and numbing out, panic and peace on this quivering ground. You can be strong and soften. Rage can blaze a fire that lights the way to inner peace. And the truth is, you can also be really, really scared and also relentlessly brave. You can. I can. We can. It's essential to have tools. And my hope is that this podcast and the practices associated with it are tools. I'll also link to the REST portal, and the REST portal is a curated collection of practices that I created to accompany my latest book, Rest is Sacred. Rest is Sacred is also a tool. Read it, rest with it, meditate with it, share it with a friend. And then there's today's practice, which is the bulk of this episode. Today's practice is a tool. I hope it is medicine. It is a practice to hold you. It is a practice to restore you. It is a practice to support you exactly where you are. I want you to know that I recorded this practice on November 5th, 2024, on the evening of the elections in the US. Then and now, this practice for me and the delivery of it was a prayer, it was an offering. The intention is for it to be a portal to protection. It is a place to remember who you are. It is a place to remember whose you are. That's what it's been for me. And I know it will be the same for you. So, with all of that said, prepare a place to lay your body down. Get comfortable, get cozy, make sure you have a journal nearby. Let's rest. Welcome. This is Octavia, Faith, and Raheem with a guided rest practice for leaders who are on their journey to becoming more devoted to rest. You can engage this practice while sitting up or laying down. You can keep your eyes open. You can also close them too. Either way, soften your gaze. Notice your breath, and let's begin. So be aware of the support beneath you. Be aware of the ground beneath you. Be aware of the earth beneath you. Be aware of the body. And then can you get 1% more comfortable? Just one. And as you notice the body, and as you're aware of the support beneath you, become aware of the breath. Notice the rise and the fall. Notice the ebb and the flow. You might even notice the movement and the stillness of your breath. So, what are we doing right now? On the surface, Nothing. And deep within, perhaps everything. Just because we're doing nothing doesn't mean nothing is happening. And just because we're being still does not mean inner movement is not occurring. I am reminded of Psalms 46:10, which says, "Be still and know." And I'm clear, just as you clear right now, too. There are many unknowns. I don't know what the future holds. I do know that I am held, that you are held, that we are held. Be aware of your breath. There might be more to do. And in this moment, you've done enough. Notice your inhalation. Notice your exhalation. Notice the rise. Notice the fall. That rhythm in the breath is the rhythm of life. This is how it goes: up and down, in and out, movement and stillness. Your eyes are likely closed, and I invite you to, with your eyes closed, remember holding your own gaze. Remember who you saw looking back at you. And remember, in the deepest sense, whose eyes are your eyes. I often say I rest in honor of, right? I rest for me. I rest for my past self. I rest for my present self. I rest for my future self. And I rest for those who came before me who could not. Who are you resting for in this practice? And what are you resting for? Begin to draw a circle of protection around the full circumference of your body. And let this first layer of protection be elemental. And what I mean by that is it might be dirt or earth and clay. It might be winds. It might be fire. It might be water. It might be ether. It might be wildflowers. It might be trees. Just begin to sense, see, know, trust this circle of protection forming around the full circumference of your body. And notice the body's response to the formation of that circle of protection. And then begin to sense, see, know, trust, draw a second layer or circle of protection. And let that layer be the ancestors who are well enough in spirit, who are light and bright. If it resonates with you, you might in your mind, heart, or even whisper their names. And for the collective ancestors, I'll invite and lift up Fannie Lou Hamer, Medgar Evers, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., Malcolm X, Toni Morrison, Lucille Clifton, Audre Lorde, Octavia E. Butler, Ella Baker, John Lewis. Feel, sense, know, trust, that second layer of circle forming, and notice the body's response to that second layer of circle. A third layer of circle begins to form. We know words are powerful, and that third layer of circle is the poems, it is the songs, it is the prayers, it is the chants, the words of inspiration. It is the we gonna be all right. It is the moving up in the world like elevators. It is the no weapon formed against me shall prosper. It is won't you celebrate with me what I have shaped into a kind of life. Begin to sense, see, know, trust. That third layer of circle forming is our grandmothers and grandfathers, great aunties and great uncles. It is our elders' most fervent, I say that real Georgia, prayers. That's the third layer of circle. Notice the body respond to this deepening level, layered circle of protection. A fourth layer of protection is drawn, and that is a circle of dreams, a circle of vast imagination. It's something deeper than hope. We are here practicing to rest and practicing the future that whether we've stated it or not, we are dreaming. And then the last layer of protection that forms is that whom you consider your most divine, Where I grew up, we sing this song, Leaning on the Everlasting Arms. And so for me, that layer is like big, deep, like heavy brown arms, everlasting arms wrapped around the dreams and imagination, the words and the prayers, the songs, the chants, the ancestors, the elements. And in this circle of protection, remember you are sacred, you are held. I'll begin to name points in the body. And as I name each point, you simply bring awareness to the point. And if you'd like to repeat, I am sacred, I am held, as you bring awareness to each point, feel free to. Bring awareness to the point between the eyebrows, to the base of the throat, right shoulder, right elbow, right wrist. Bring awareness to all the points or the right fingertips. And remember, I am sacred, I am held. Bring awareness to the right wrist, right elbow, right shoulder, base of throat, left shoulder, left elbow, left wrist, tips of all the fingers on the left hand side. I am sacred, I am held. Left wrist, left elbow, left shoulder, base of throat. Bring awareness to the center of the chest, deep, deep behind the sternum. I am sacred, I am held. Right side of the chest, left side of the chest, center of the chest, navel center, center of the hips, base of the spine, center of the hips, right hip joint, right knee joint, right ankle joint, tips of all the toes on the right foot. I am sacred, I am held. Right ankle joint, right knee joint, right hip joint, base of the pelvis, base of the spine, base of the pelvis, left hip joint, left knee joint, left ankle joint, tips of all the toes on the left foot side. I am sacred, I am held. Left ankle joint, left knee joint, left hip joint, base of the spine. I am sacred, I am held. Base of the pelvis, navel center, center of the chest, base of the throat, tip of the tongue, back of the tongue, tip of the nose, bridge of the nose, point between the eyebrows. Be aware of all of the points in the body, remembering, recollecting how deep this sacredness is and how deeply this embrace and this holding is. Rest here in this awareness for 3 minutes. You'll hear my voice again in 3 minutes. Be aware of that outermost ring of the circle of protection. Be aware of the circle of dreams, our dreams and visions are protected and protection. Be aware of the prayers, the words, the poems, the chants, the songs. Be aware of the ancestors and offer gratitude. Thank you. Be aware of the elements and offer gratitude. Thank you. And in the field of awareness of those layers of protection, be aware of your body in the center of it all. And as you become more aware of your body, become aware of your body is breathing. Invite in a nourishing inhale. Release out a clearing exhale. Begin to silently repeat to yourself, I am sacred, I am held. And let that silent repetition give way to a whisper of, I am sacred, I am held. And then let that whisper give way to your audible voice saying, I am sacred. I am held. Receive a full breath in through the nose. Exhale with a sigh. Bring the smallest movement back into the body. That might be just moving the head from side to side. Sometimes I just wiggle my nose when I'm coming back. You might wiggle your fingers or your toes. Notice what you notice as you come back. Feel what you feel. And just be aware if, though we hardly moved, if you can sense that you traveled some distance. And then when you're ready, you'll bring bigger movements back into your body. And if you're not ready, you don't have to be. If you'd like to continue on, my next invitation will be to take the next 2 minutes or so to journal, to free write, to draw, to move if your body would like to move. But the formal rest practice is now complete.